Today, a United States Congresswoman, my Aunt Vicky, started crying because gay people like me can get married.
I hope and pray that my colleagues will find the courage to join me in opposing this misguided and this dangerous bill. I yield back.
So despite coming out to my aunt this past February, I guess she's still just as much as a homophobe.
Let's be clear. Obergefell is not in danger, but people and institutions of faith are.
Aunt Vicky, that's not right. Institutions of faith like religious universities are not being silenced. They're being empowered by the US government to discriminate against tens of thousands of LGBTQ students because of religious exemptions, but they still receive federal funding.
The bill's implications: submit to our ideology or be silenced.
It's more like you want the power to force your religious beliefs onto everyone else. And because you don't have that power, you feel like you're being silenced.
That's what she feels like. Vicky Hartzler, outgoing Republican representative from Missouri. She was crying on the House floor. There is her nephew, Andrew, talking about his experiences, which I assume she knew. In fact, he told us that she knew who he is because he came out to his family and look who she is. It seems like she kind of just doesn't care. Let's look at some details of his devastating story, which she of course knows. Keep that all in mind. Andrew Hartzler, who's a plaintiff in a class action lawsuit seeking to end those exemptions for folks to discriminate. He graduated in 2021 from the deeply conservative Oral Roberts University, where he was nearly expelled for being gay as a junior and said he attempted suicide his sophomore year. What a great place to attend school. Imagine sending your kid to that place. More. He graduated a year ago from that university in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He says it was the only college his father would pay for him to attend. And in the bastion of evangelical Christianity, being gay was a violation of the school's honor code, and could get a student expelled. Hartzler attempted suicide during winter break of his sophomore year and barely escaped expulsion his junior year. So this whole thing, when he posted about it on TikTok, it got him enough attention that CNN also reached out and wanted to have him explain more. Let's see him talk about how his family responded and how he interacts with them as who he is as a human being. Watch this.
From a young age, like I would say 11 or 12, it was a common pastime of me Googling like Vicky Hartzler and LGBTQ or gay and seeing what she had said that week about it. But the harmful policies that she is a proponent of, they have like real consequences for young people like me. Like when I was at Oral Roberts University, I was subjected to conversion therapy like practices, and that was totally legal because of the policies that my aunt has helped put into place. So after I graduated, I partnered with the Religious Exemption Accountability Project, and together with 40 other students from institutions across the country, we are advocating for all students at religious universities to receive equal protections.
Such a devastating thing. They want to tell you what to do, except you're asking for equal protection. So quick recap here. Vicky Hartzler's nephew attempted suicide his sophomore year of college because he's been told he's not worthy of existence. His junior year, they almost kicked him out. She's crying on the House floor because she's leaving, and this bill that would allow people to marry each other it was passed. That's what she's crying about, not her nephew. Isn't that a messed up thing to do? To censor myself one more time. One other piece about this interview with CNN though. Andrew talked about his interactions with his family and also the reasons why he couldn't stay silent. Think about the many things this kid had to go through. Also the fact that from that last video, he said he would Google what his aunt was saying about him as he's figuring out who he is and how just his family kind of doesn't accept that. Imagine how that would make you feel as a 12, 13-year-old kid. Either way, here's more from him.
So when you came out to her in February, because you came out to her in February of this past year, what was her reaction then? Was she supportive?
I'm like when I disclosed my sexual orientation to my parents, it's very typical to just receive a message of like love the sinner, hate the sin, or like we love you but we don't accept you, or that's wrong. So growing up, being gay was like demonized, and it was like seen as something that was abominable. When I saw my aunt's video, I felt that silence would have been complicit, and that silence is equal to death in this situation because the harm that it projects.
If you can look at Andrew Hartzler and still hate him for what he's had to go through, for being who he is, because you call him an abomination, because he should be expelled for this, you call yourself one of the good guys, Jess. This is what these people think.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. And honestly, I can't imagine the pain he feels with what he goes through. Most people have to deal with, seeing their aunts posting homophobic things on Facebook. He has to deal with his aunt threatening to strip away people like him, the LGBTQ community's rights on the floor of Congress. And the fact that he still made this TikTok, pretty funny, right? She has these crocodile tears. She's being fake sad. And he's smiling through the whole thing, but clearly not happy. But that's showbiz, baby. And he did a really good job making that TikTok, breaking down her points, and also like making it something people will want to watch, because this isn't the type of stuff people want to hear about. People are so fed up with basic human rights that we spent decades and centuries fighting for now being stripped away. It's a sad state of affairs. And it can be tempting to look away, but the consequence of us looking away is people like Vicky Hartzler winning. And that's what they've been doing. We've seen the stripping away of women's reproductive rights. We're seeing the Defense of Marriage Act now being voted on again. It's just ridiculous that we're at this point in time. And I think people like Andrew Hartzler speaking out, it's a lot on him, but it's good that he's doing it, because now more people see where he's coming from and what everyday life is like for these Americans who have family members that are literally giving these speeches on the floor of Congress, not just places like Facebook.
It's really tough. And imagine, look at the demonization of the folks that they're attacking. You mentioned women's rights getting taken away, gay rights getting taken away here. And it's always, they're coming to tell me what to do. Every time they're the victims as they attack and attack and attack. And then when actual violence happens, they go, good job. But they're being attacked over and over again. The narrative has to change. It's why it's such a brave thing for Andrew to do, because those type of voices we don't hear from as much because of the potential for retaliation. It's hard.